Lysa TerKeurst is a New York Times bestselling author, as well as president of Proverbs 31 Ministries, and the author of this great new book, It's Not Supposed to Be This Way. Thank you for allowing us to be in your home today, Lysa.
Absolutely. It's a joy to have you here. I feel like it's just like having a friend over.
Oh, thank you. First of all, thank you. On behalf of many women and families who have watched your journey, you have been so candid about the journey that your marriage has taken for the past couple of years. Thank you.
Well, thank you. You know, that's one of the number one things that people ask me is like, Lysa, how are you able to be so transparent with so many hard realities of your life? And what I always like to tell people is different people, I think, have different callings and different personalities that give you a different threshold for privacy and transparency, and you just have to know what your threshold is. But I always tell people there's a big difference between privacy and secrecy. Secrecy is withholding things for the purpose of hiding. Privacy is withholding things for the purpose of healing. And so while we have withheld a lot of the details, the basic story we feel like is very important, so that other people can find encouragement, help, and healing, because I know I'm not the only one going through so much of what I've gone through.
There might be some people who watching that don't really know your story, and you had written this post June 13th, 2017, and I'll just read parts of it. My husband, life partner, and father of my children, Art TerKeurst, has been repeatedly unfaithful to me with a woman he met online, bringing an end to our marriage of almost 25 years. You later on say, God has now revealed to me that I have done all I can do and must release him to the Savior. You talk about pursuing divorce. Mm-hmm. Tell me about where you were at that moment when you wrote this post.
Well, that was the most painful day of this entire journey, because I had been holding on to the hope for a long time that restoration and reconciliation would be in our future. And, you know, I think we have hard things that happen to us. And then as Christians, we know all the verses that teach us that God can bring good out of even this. My problem, and maybe you can relate to this too, sometimes I run ahead of God and start writing the script of good that I feel should be. And then I want to hold God and everyone else accountable to the good outcome that I've written. And, you know, one thing that this journey has taught me is that that's not faith. That's trying to take control of a life that feels out of control, which is very understandable. You know, I was always used to my life being pretty predictable, and so I want God to be predictable. But one thing God's taught me is he doesn't want to be explained away. He simply wants to be invited in. And so I had to really invite him into this very long process. So at the point that I wrote that blog post, it had been 18 months since I discovered what was going on. I was heartbroken, I was devastated, and I had decided not to invite the weight of public opinion into our very private pain. But it started to become apparent that I could forgive Art and I could love Art, but I was not willing to share him. And so I knew we had been through several rounds of feeling like we were making progress and getting better and healing, and then you know, things would fall apart again. And so I had taken a very strong stand alongside my counselor and said, if the woman cycles back into our life again, then that's going to be it. And so I had to draw those boundaries for many reasons, and I didn't think I would ever have to write a post that tied my name and my husband's name with the word divorce, because we had always said, like many Christian couples, divorce is not an option. But sometimes you're put in a position where you can fight all day long, but unless the other person is joining you on that journey, it just becomes very, very difficult. And so I put that blog post out. It didn't catch anyone in my family off guard, not even Art. He knew that that was going to be one of the realities if she cycled back into our life. And so the night before it ran, I called him and read him the post. My children also all knew about it. But even so, the minute that post went out into the world, I felt like my life was over in so many ways. And I definitely felt like putting that post out would mark the end of my marriage forever. And that's not what I wanted, but I felt like at that point I had no choice.